I would like to bring Mr. Dan Roberts up here for him to share with you the process it's taken to get to where you're at tonight, because I know you guys are all on the edge of your seat waiting to see what's going to happen, right? Right? There you go. There's that motivation. That's right. Come on, Dan. Oh yeah, I need choice.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Hand it up now until I finish. Tonight, we want to present to you a vision called Vision 2025. I'm on page 9. I'd like to introduce our architect, who I call the MHG. MHG designed, and I worked with as a facility director here at Vanguard Schools on the King Project, which was the first lead school in the state of Arkansas, as a premier school in the country for being energy efficient and environmentally friendly. It's an incredible facility, but more importantly, it's a healthy facility, and it pays for itself in about 7 to 10 years. So the money that was put into it, not saying we're going to do that, but it's a concept. Nate Neeson, just some quick things about him. Graduated from Buren University with a Bachelor of Architecture. Also has a French and language. This is language, art history, and global studies. So he is a well-rounded individual in his undergraduate work. He's been LEED certified for 5 years, and jobs he's done in the area are the Basketball Performance Center at the University of Arkansas, better known as the arena. You know, they don't call it a performance center because the only thing everyone thinks about is basketball. There are a lot of things going on in that arena that they help design. Also, renovation at the Moulton Community College. Did the French Center, pardon me, the Freshman Center at Greenwood, and they renovated the high school. I went to him and said, this is what we need in our facility. He had a video that Brian did of all working session. I gave him a spreadsheet of all the things that the members of the post wanted. He watched the video, watched that, and I told him there's 4 things that I think we need to have. 1, it needs to meet the needs of the veterans community. 2, it needs to be a multi-purpose facility. In other words, it can be used for a multitude of activities by moving walls the way it's designed. So it's just not a room for this, a room for that. It can be used for multi-purposes. Next, energy and environmentally efficient. And lastly, a unique design. A unique design. There's going to be one slide on here that you're going to see that answers the questions that everybody says, what is a unique design? You'll see the Maltese cross in a unique position that epitomizes what the VFW is all about, what the Maltese cross is all about, and what we as a post are all about. And with that, I'd like to introduce and have Nate come up and make the presentation on Vision 2025. Thank you.
Thank you for the introduction. As Dan mentioned, my name is Nate Neeson, and I'm an associate at MHG Architecture in Fort Smith. I'm incredibly grateful for the opportunity to come in front of you all tonight and talk a little bit about the ways in which your vision committee and our design team have worked together to forge your ideals and ideas into what I hope will become an outstanding building that celebrates the legacies and futures of the veterans who have served our great country. Just to give you a bit of background, MHG Architecture is one of the oldest firms in the state of Arkansas and has served the River Valley region for over 80 years. That being said, we're all pros at designing and meeting the needs of community and civic-centered buildings. Some of the more recent projects we've completed with the city of Van Buren, Arkansas include the Van Buren Public Library, the Van Buren Senior Activities Center, and the expansive projects at King Elementary School and Oliver Springs Elementary School, many of which have received community, state, and national recognition for quality design and sustainable or green initiatives. I preface all this just to give you the sense that we have extensive experience in your community and are leaders in quality design and environmentally conscious architecture, all of which serve as stepping stones for us as we begin to delve into the vision presented to us by your vision committee. When Dan and Matthew first came to speak to us about the project, they'd already developed a list, determined and voted on by their vision committee of the elements and services that should be included in the facility. I'll briefly go over the most voted or highest priority items in each section to show how we utilize a data-driven approach to determine the spaces, organization, and services on the grounds of the proposed VFW Center. During the committee vote regarding programs or the services to be included in the building, the highest priorities were as follows: activities and games, health center, auxiliary, physical training, marksmanship, and flag retirement. For the spaces that were to be included in the new facility, were to have a commercial kitchen, a dining hall, an auxiliary office, restrooms, classrooms, a VA service office, a post commander office, a quartermaster office, showers, armory, storm shelter, and a gym. The priorities for the site or the area around the building included an area for a pavilion, a reflecting pool, and an outdoor firing range. The priorities for the interior of the building were for the structure to have a flexible interior, for it to have a museum or some sort of gallery, and space dedicated to technology instruction. And then finally, for the things that didn't necessarily fit into any of those prior categories, the Vision Committee brought up community service, a legacy wall, a members wall, a donors wall, and the inclusion of the Maltese Cross, which is incorporated in the symbolic seal of the VFW organization and heralds back to the biblical Beatitudes, and in modern day interpretations celebrates the principles of democracy, freedom, justice, and tolerance. So in summation, after sorting through all the priorities presented during the committee voting, the overarching goals for this facility reasonably gravitated around issues of flexibility, service, and reverence, with flexibility addressing the physical nature or arrangement of the spaces, service addressing the actual function of those spaces, and reverence addressing the overall theme of the entire building. These goals began to form the conceptual organization of the building, as seen on the diagrams on this slide. The creation of multi-use or flexible space maximizes the efficiency of the floor plan and reduces the redundancy of the larger activity-based areas of the building. For instance, as you'll soon see in the proposed floor plan, spaces such as the dining hall, gym, large meeting area, and storm shelter all have incredibly similar uses. If those all were addressed individually, the building area and cost would become prohibitive. By merging those elements together, the building becomes much more condensed and feasible. By grouping those spaces with similar uses together into public and more private sections, the building can be split into an activity-based area that serves the organization and can be leased out to the community, and a service-based area that serves the administration of the post, the education of the members, and other program elements such as the health center, all of which complement the transition and betterment of the members of the post and the surrounding community. These two wings will intersect in a large multi-use gallery entitled the Great Hall that will help create physical, visual, and thematic connections to the two ideals and to the expansive memorial grounds behind the building. And then finally, the building will serve as a physical celebration in memory of those who have fought for our country. A large memorial, reflecting pool, and amphitheater will be situated behind the new VFW Center, and the physical orientation of the structure will be informed by those elements, ensuring a vantage point out to the memorial from the majority of the interior spaces. The Great Hall will also house a gallery and a memory wall to display the history of the post and its members. From those conceptual diagrams, we continue to develop more definite plans for the walls, floors, and roof of the structure. Starting from a bird's eye view, this plan displays the layout of the building and the elements on a site. At the center, you can see the proposed building and a temporary apartment for transitioning or visiting veterans. Vehicle and RV parking can be accomplished with concrete paving or systems such as grass pave to minimize impervious hard surfaces. 2 softball fields and a compound soccer field is shown on the east side of the site, surrounded by a paved exercise trail. The large memorial grounds lie to the north of the building, and the building itself is organized around it. The majority of the large expanses of glass are placed on the north face of the building to focus on the memorial and to maximize the efficiency of the HVAC system. The memorial is placed on one side of a reflecting pool with an amphitheater and tinsel fabric canopy complementing the opposite. The amphitheater focuses on the memorial and flag burn pit. We will have some renderings of this in the coming slides. This slide shows the organization of all the interior spaces into a comprehensive floor plan. There will be a larger printout available at the front of the room for further investigation once the presentation is over. But as I mentioned earlier, the building is split into 2 wings. One for more activity-focused programs and the other for more administrative and aid-based programs. A large gym, storm shelter, that also serves as a meeting room, banks of restrooms, and a commercial-grade kitchen is represented on the left side of the plan. A series of post-administrative offices, classrooms, a fitness center, and a health center are shown in the service wing to the right side of the plan, with a temporary apartment flanking the right corner of the structure. The 2 wings intersect at the Great Hall, which opens up to the entry front porch and to the memorial ground at the back of the site. The activity wing will function better as a load-bearing masonry structure and service as a more low-slung column and beam organization. The regular column and beam structure will also allow the easy facing of the building as funds continue to grow. The temporary apartment could also be phased and built at a later time based on funding. As you'll see in the upcoming renderings, the front facade is more of a solemn, minimal construction with a simplistic material palette of metal, concrete, and small openings with glass. The central entry canopy or front porch will open up and invite visitors in a respectful way. The details and volume of the spaces begin to increase throughout the building, making it more livelier and reverent as you progress to the back. The rear facade then opens up and spills out into the memorial grounds, allowing the visitors to celebrate the history of the veterans immortalized there. In this rendering, you get an overall view of the proposed structure from the entry. You can see the storm shelter and offices in the service wing in the foreground, and the gym and the memorial at the rear. The Great Hall has a rotunda-like quality and opens up to the memorial grounds. The temporary apartment and activity fields are pushed to the east side of the site. Dropping down to ground level, you can begin to see how the front porch canopy begins to function, sandwiched in between the storm shelter and the service wing lobby. The large area of metal paneling on the storm shelter will allow for tall integrated signage to shout the identity of the new building. From the other direction, you can see the service wing facade. Where predominantly metal panel punctured with a regular rhythm of windows into the offices, conference room, the fitness center, and the secondary entrance for the health center. The service wing frontage maintains a simple language that allows natural lighting and visibility to the public. This perspective shows the entry canopy or front porch and how it funnels visitors into the Great Hall space in a minimal, respectful way. The Great Hall is located at the intersection of the activity and service wings and houses a gallery to memorialize the history of the post and its members. From the front of the space to the rear, the volume begins to the volume begins to grow and opens up to the memorial grounds. Suspended from the roof and situated under a skylight, a stained glass VFW emblem and cross of Malta symbol demands the recognition of visitors and draws them towards the memorial grounds with which it is aligned. A limited palette of materials emphasizes the reverence reported throughout the space. Here you can see the physical and visual connections of the building to the memorial grounds in the distance, and the simple ways in which the building elements begin to culminate in the memorialization of the lives and service of our veterans. Continuing with the theme of reverence, this perspective shows the memorial grounds and the ceremonial amphitheater in the distance. The corner of the gym opens out onto the main circulation path as well, allowing a visual connection from the gathering space out to the monument beyond. Looking the other direction, this rendering shows the amphitheater surrounding the ceremonial platform, which houses a presentation area as well as a flag burning pit. All of these are aligned with the monument element situated at the other end of the reflecting pool. The amphitheater is designed to accommodate a temporary fabric tinsel canopy that can be put up during sunnier weather. You can see the Great Hall entry in the background. And finally, this image sums up the entire concept of the reverence displayed by the building. Both the proposed structure and the amphitheater surround the memorial, directing views and emotions no matter where a visitor is on the site. Simple forms and material palettes do not overstep the importance of the subject and help to create an overall architectural composition that celebrates veterans and the communities for which they serve. In closing, I just want to thank you again for the opportunity to come and speak in front of you tonight. And thank you for your service to our country and letting me come and tell you about how your vision for your organization is becoming to transform into something real. Hopefully this will continue to progress and we will be able to create this building that is truly worth caring about together. Thank you.